Welcome to The Explainer. I'm your corporate security leadership coach, and today we're tackling a genuinely unpredictable, high-stakes scenario, the night shift fire alarm. Okay, let's dive right in.
Picture this. It is 3 a.m. The building is dead quiet. You're sitting there fighting that totally natural urge to sleep, and then, boom. The piercing shriek of the fire alarm hits. What is your very first move? Do you jump right up? Do you just assume it's another drill? Look, these first few seconds, they literally dictate whether an incident gets contained or becomes a major news headline.
The psychology here is fascinating, but it's also a massive trap. It's called the normalization of deviance. You see, because up to 32% of alarms are false activations, we naturally develop alarm fatigue. So when that alarm rings at 3 a.m., your tired, sleep-deprived brain automatically whispers, it's probably just a glitch. But we absolutely cannot afford to believe that lie.
Over the past 20-plus years as a global corporate security leadership coach, running crisis simulations for Fortune 500 companies, giant tech campuses, and major data centers, I've seen exactly where these protocols break down. So in this training explainer for the Corporate Security Leadership Academy, I'm giving you the exact tactical blueprint to handle night shift emergencies like a seasoned pro.
And let me tell you, your role is absolutely vital. The data shows that a proper, immediate response by security personnel reduces fire-related injuries by a staggering 73%. Think about that. You aren't just a warm body in a chair. You are the literal first line of defense. So let's break down exactly how you hit those numbers.
All right, moving into Section 1, the initial reaction. Assess, do not ignore. We really need to contrast the classic rookie mistake with a true professional standard here. The mistake? Taking your sweet time, grabbing a sip of coffee, and just assuming the panel is acting up again. The correct action? You treat every single alarm as a catastrophic threat until proven otherwise. During the day, sure, you might just be a gatekeeper. But at night, you are the vigilant caretaker of that entire facility.
Knowing your immediate action plan for those first 60 seconds is absolutely non-negotiable. Step 1, silence the alarm at the panel so you can actually think and communicate, but do not reset it. If you hit reset, you lose all the data. Step 2, assess the exact location straight from the panel. And Step 3, notify your control room or dispatcher immediately.
So why the massive rush? Well, according to the NFPA 101 Life Safety Code standards, you have roughly 30 seconds to initiate your response before smoke inhalation risks become critical. Remember, smoke kills way faster than flames do. Delaying your response to check your phone or finish writing in the logbook, it's simply not an option.
Okay, let's pivot to Section 2, Data Center Response Protocols. Data centers are a whole different beast. These are incredibly high-stakes environments. You've got massive fuel loads of dense cabling, powered by huge electrical currents and pushed by high-velocity airflows. A fire in here doesn't just smolder, it spreads exponentially.
Because spraying water would completely destroy the servers, these facilities use aspirating smoke detection and gaseous suppression, like FM200. You really need to understand what we call double knock logic. This means the system requires 2 independent smoke detectors to trip before it dumps the gas. It's built to prevent accidental deployment, which means if that second alarm hits, the gas is definitely coming.
And that brings us to a deadly mistake I see guards make. They open the server room door to check for flames. Do not do this. If a room is prepping to deploy clean agent gas, opening that door breaks the airtight seal. It lets the gas escape, and worse, it feeds the fire with fresh oxygen. Your only job is to secure the perimeter and let the system do its job.
Moving right along to Section 3, evacuate with total authority.
When an evacuation is triggered, panic spreads like wildfire. A massive mistake here is trying to reason with people or giving them some long 5-step explanation of the fire routes. Don't do it. Instead, you must use simple, repeated, firm commands. Keep moving. Use the right side. Exit this way. Panicked brains simply cannot process complex instructions. Be loud, be calm, and take absolute command of the room.
Here are your non-negotiable evacuation rules. Number 1, human safety always trumps protecting the property. Number 2, absolutely no returning for personal items. None. 0 exceptions. Number 3, control the perimeters so people don't wander right back into danger. And finally, coordinate with the fire department the very second they arrive.
Hand them the facts and do it fast.
I want to give you a quick reality check on why we drill these basic rules so hard. Working the night shift completely wrecks your circadian rhythm. Research actually shows that cognitive impairment during the late night is equivalent to a 0.08% blood alcohol level. It's why guards hallucinate those shadow people or hear weird noises. When your brain is that tired, you don't magically rise to the occasion. You sink to the level of your training. That's exactly why you stick to the protocol.
All right, Section 4, the critical shift handover. I absolutely love this quote from our sources. Accidents don't usually come from unknown risks. They come from the things we forgot to mention. The single most dangerous time in any security operation is when teams swap out. A tiny missed detail at 6 p.m. easily becomes a massive disaster at 3 a.m.
So, here is your ultimate handover checklist. First, logbook review. Discuss every single glitch, no matter how small it seems. Second, a joint walkthrough of high-risk areas. Actually put your own eyes on it together. Third, check the equipment status. Ensure your radio isn't dead, your master keys are accounted for, and the AED is fully charged and ready to go.
Please stop doing that lazy, everything is fine wave at the door while tossing the keys. That's a huge mistake. The correct action, especially in complex sites, is executing a formal permit to work, or PTW, handover. You have to formally transfer the knowledge of disabled alarms, active maintenance, and any ongoing hazards.
Let's wrap this up with our final debrief and recap.
If you remember absolutely nothing else from this explainer, lock in these 4 pillars. Silence the panel, but do not reset it. Know the specific technology of your environment, especially if it involves gaseous suppression. Command evacuations with firm, simple authority. And never, ever rush your shift handover.
So I'll leave you with a critical scenario to think about. When that alarm shrieks in the dead of night, and you are the only one awake to hear it, you're faced with a pretty stark reality. Are you just a gatekeeper watching the clock, or are you a vigilant caretaker, trained, ready, and fully capable of saving lives?
I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your absolute craziest night shift alarm experience. Hit that like button and subscribe to the Corporate Security Leadership Academy so you never miss a tactical breakdown. Because remember, the choice is entirely yours. Will you sink to the level of your fatigue or rise to the level of your training? Stay sharp, stay vigilant, and stay safe out there.